Joining us to talk about that and other news in the political world. Joining us on the phones right now, GOP political strategist, co-founder of MustReadTexas.com. It's Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing great, Chad. How about you?
Doing well. Let's see. Where do we even start? Wednesday's the final debate. Do you have any idea on what we can expect on Wednesday?
I don't. Predicting Donald Trump's behavior is a fool's errand, particularly when he's under pressure like he is right now.
And the shackles are off now, Matt.
Right.
The shackles were on before. Now the shackles are off. He's
unshackled by reality, and he appears intent on going down with the ship. He remains mired in 35, 37, perhaps 39% of the vote. He will be one of the 6 or 8 worst performing presidential nominees of any major party in American history, almost surely, on November 8th. And so, look, I am sympathetic to one part of how he's going about things, and that is I think he is under fire from a lot of different angles right now, and he feels like he's under siege. And so, that reality for him, that perception for him, I think, is driving a lot of this behavior. He feels like this is rigged because everyone is against him. He feels the major media is against him. He feels the Democrats and Hillary are against him, and he feels like the Republicans are against him. But he's brought so much of this on by leading an unserious life since he was 30 years old, by denying reality, by peddling conspiracies and dishonest claims about people, by being obviously a bully and clearly being, I think, temperamentally unfit for a very serious office. That said, Hillary's not necessarily inspiring millions. She's running a very cautious campaign. The WikiLeaks revelations continue to damage her in the eyes of the voters and raise very serious questions about the Clinton Foundation and her tenure as Secretary of State. So, this race is headed towards a pretty clear victory for her. Particularly in the Electoral College, where I think she'll probably be over 300 electoral votes. Trump's path continues to narrow. He has to find a way to win Pennsylvania, which seems impossible, or he has to basically win 5 states that are battlegrounds and find a way to win 5 more electoral votes to get to 270 electoral votes. And so he's got a pretty tough task ahead of him and only, 22 days left.
Yeah, is there any way, because look, as bad as he has been the last 2 weeks especially, campaigning, depending on the poll you look at, NBC Wall Street Journal has him down 11 points, but an ABC Washington Post poll had him down only 4 percentage points nationally. Is there anything that WikiLeaks could drop? Is there anything that changes the course of this election in your mind?
It seems to me if they had it would already be out. Trump has had the worst 2 weeks I can ever remember any presidential candidate having in either party. And so, he needed to break that, that death spiral. And it's pretty clear that if it's Russia or whoever is providing this information to WikiLeaks, they're doing so with the intent of trying to help Donald Trump become the next president of the United States. And so, to me, I think the kind of thing that it would require would be something that shows criminal behavior by the State Department while Hillary was Secretary of State, and really something probably implicating her at this point. If it implicated Cheryl Mills or Huma Abedin or somebody else, I'm not sure that's sufficient, probably. Yeah. That person would take the blame. And, of course, the Democrats are saying, well, WikiLeaks is not releasing everything, and we don't even know these things are accurate. And so they're kind of applying that to every revelation. And so these revelations are staying somewhat limited to conservative media. From time to time, Morning Joe or someone will talk about, some of the things that are in there. And there's a lot of damaging things that are coming out. Ridiculous statements that the Clinton campaign made about Obama in 2008, questions about contracting in Haiti, which the New York Times just reported on. Lots of other things. These John Podesta emails are a treasure trove. So, I'm a little bit doubtful that there will be the kind of revelation that will fundamentally change the race. But I would say if it was going to come out today or tomorrow, would probably not be the most opportune time to guarantee it being asked as a question in the final debate on Wednesday night.
Let's take a look at Texas. There was a poll that came out last week, and you and I think we're both skeptical of this poll, but The last few polls that we've seen out of Texas, Trump has gone from being up 8 to up 6 to up 4 in this latest WFAA poll that was done. Do you buy that this is anywhere close to being in that low of single digits for Donald Trump? And, if it is, why aren't we seeing the Clinton campaign out here?
Yeah, I mean, the one, I think, strong argument to the question of why they're not out here is because they don't need Texas. I think they'd love to win Texas, obviously, if they could. And they're chasing rabbits in other states, in states like Arizona, where Chelsea Clinton is today, and Utah, where they've started to spend money, and, of course, Georgia, where I think she's going to be campaigning or may have campaigned late last week. I can't remember. But so those are 3 states they don't necessarily need, but they're chasing those states. The challenge with Texas is it's just too expensive. I mean, saturation-level television across the state costs about $1.8 million for 1 week. Now, you only have 3 weeks left, but, at the end of a campaign, finding $6 or $8 or $10 million just laying around is pretty hard to do. So particularly when there's so many things competing for those dollars, do you really want to put those dollars there, or do you want to put them in Iowa to try to flip that state, or Ohio to end Trump's path to the White House? So, I generally just don't think the Democrats are doing anything in Texas. I mean, they are registering voters, but apart from that, I mean, they have almost no ground game whatsoever. Battleground Texas almost effectively doesn't exist. Hillary hasn't been here for anything but fundraising. They opened an office in Houston, and that's about it. So they're not doing mail, they're not doing radio, they're not doing television, they're not doing grassroots, they're not doing any campaigning in the state. So at the end of the day, I think there will be a cost to that. Meanwhile, the Republican Party of Texas is doing those things: field effort, ground effort, registering voters, sending absentee ballots out, by mail. So I just think the Republican Party machinery in Texas will make up for the weakness that Trump has. And I think I would be jaw-droppingly stunned if Trump somehow lost Texas. I think the margin will be narrower than the Romney and McCain margins of 11 and 17 points the last 2 times. I think it probably will end up being in the 6 to 8 point range. But there's no question that Trump's nosedive over the past 10 days has hurt him everywhere, and it's hurt him here. And that's why I think the polls are narrowing in Texas. At the end of the day, I still don't think Hillary can win Texas, but who knows? We don't know what Trump's floor is. He seems to be punching through the floor every day, going lower, determined to go lower. So how low will he go? We don't know yet.
Real quick, before we let you go, there aren't a lot of interesting races in Texas for November. But the one that is, and that a lot of people are paying attention to, is the one involving Representative Will Hurd out of San Antonio. What's the state of that race as far as you know?
Yeah, Congressman Will Hurd is a rising star. He is an African American, former CIA agent, former student body president at Texas A&M. He is absolutely running one of the best campaigns of the cycle, and I think most observers who follow these things know that. He's overperforming Trump. He's doing it in a very difficult political environment. I think he raised $900,000 in the third quarter, which is a stunning total for a congressman. He's running against Pete Gallego, a former state rep and a former, I think, one-term or maybe two-term congressman. He's trying to, I think, one term. He's running for his old seat again. But Gallego is not an incumbent, so he doesn't have the money or the name ID that he had in the past. But that is a Hispanic district. It's a district Romney won with 51% 4 years ago. It's a Hispanic majority district. San Antonio out towards El Paso. It takes in all the border region there in Eagle Pass and Del Rio. I believe they have their first and only debate this Friday night. That's a very close race, but Will Hurd is swimming upstream better than almost any Republican candidate at any level. And at the end of the day, I think he's likely to win unless Trump really falls apart.
Matt, tell folks what they can find on your website, mustreadtexas.com.
Yeah, beginning to update stories from over the weekend. Obviously, we're covering not just any Trump and Hillary news related to Texas, including the WFA poll that you cited, but in addition to the Hurd race, there's other state house races that are close and competitive, 5 or 6 of them that are being hotly contested. You can find the top news, opinion, and blog items from around the state of Texas all in one place at mustreadtexas.com.
All right, Matt, as always, appreciate your time, and we'll see you on Twitter.
Have a great week, Chad. Take care.
You too. That's Matt Mackowiak. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Mackowiak.